Welcome to the Explainer. If you've ever felt like you're carrying the literal weight of the world on your shoulders and you're not entirely sure why you can't just set it down, well, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the psychology of growing up entirely too fast. I want you to think back for a second. Were you the tiny parent in your home? Try to remember your childhood. While other 10-year-olds were, crying over scraped knees or excitedly plotting out tomorrow's games, were you holding your breath? Maybe you were listening to footsteps on the stairs, trying to guess what mood your parent was in. Or maybe you were standing in the kitchen cooking dinner because, well, an adult in your life simply couldn't. You weren't just a kid, were you? You were the peacemaker, the therapist, the protector. And here's the wild paradox about all of this. Adults probably looked at you and showered you with praise, right? They'd tell you, "Oh, you're so mature for your age," or "You're such an old soul." And hungry for love? You likely pinned those compliments to your chest, like medals of honor. You believed growing up early was a gift. You thought you were special. But nobody stopped to ask, what's the hidden internal burden here? What was the actual cost of all that early maturity? So let's get into understanding parentification and what happens during the collapse of generational boundaries. In family psychology, there's a very specific term for this dynamic, and it completely shifts how we understand childhood development. It's called parentification. Imagine natural development for a second. A child is born like a seed, and to grow, it needs soil, water, and sunlight. In a family, that soil and water, that's emotional safety. A child has a fundamental right to depend on others, knowing that if the sky falls, their parents are going to catch it. But in parentification, that natural order is flipped completely upside down. Due to things like parental immaturity, addiction, illness, or just profound pain, you are unintentionally handed a massive backpack full of responsibility. Now, psychologists recognize a really crucial difference between two types of parentification. On one side, we have instrumental parentification. This is the practical stuff, doing the chores, managing siblings, cooking meals. Look, it's utterly exhausting, but it actually tends to cause a bit less deep psychological harm if your efforts are at least acknowledged. But on the other side is emotional parentification, and this one is far more dangerous. This is when you become your parents' emotional dumping ground. You're refereeing their arguments or comforting them. Think about it. When a 7-year-old has to comfort a 35-year-old mother, those generational boundaries completely collapse. The child learns a pretty brutal lesson. Their own needs just do not matter. And this brings us to a crucial point. Being an emotional dumping ground as a child, it isn't a superpower. It is not maturity. It is a profound loss. It's literally the theft of your childhood. You learned way too early on that you only had value when you are useful to someone else. Which leads us to what this actually does to your head. The brain on overdrive, stuck in permanent fight or flight mode. The consequences of this theft literally rewire you. It specifically impacts your brain's fear center, the amygdala, because you constantly had to wonder, is dad gonna explode? Or what mood is mom in right now? Your nervous system got permanently stuck in fight or flight mode. You developed what we call emotional radar scanning. Basically, the uncanny ability to walk into a room and read the tension in 2 seconds flat. But the wildest part? It's the addiction to chaos. Your nervous system actually feels safer when you're worried than when you're completely relaxed. Crazy, right? But why? Because when you're worried, you feel like you're in control. Your brain actually spikes your cortisol by creating worry just to feel a familiar, twisted sense of safety. And this is exactly what breeds that intense perfectionism and imposter syndrome later in life. This creates such a stark contrast between a normal nervous system and a parentified one. Take silence or peace, for example. To a normal brain, that's deeply relaxing. To you, it's highly suspicious. It's the calm before the storm. How about having fun? Normal brains feel pure joy. Your brain views having fun as genuinely dangerous, like a terrifying loss of control. Basically, every normal interaction gets interpreted through the lens of a potential threat. And that brings us to the hyper-independence trap, where strength is actually self-isolation. This constant threat detection leads directly into a massive social trap, because early maturity doesn't just mess with your internal peace, it can actively destroy your adult relationships. Does this hit a nerve for you? Do you ever find yourself saying, I'd really rather just do it myself than ask for help? Picture this. You're carrying 4 incredibly heavy grocery bags up to a 5th-floor apartment. Your hands are literally shaking in pain, and when someone asks if you need a hand, your immediate, knee-jerk reaction is, oh no, I'm fine, I got it. That right there is hyper-independence. Now, it sounds impressive, almost like a superhero trait, but it's actually a trauma scar. When you were little, asking for help probably meant being ignored or sighed at or made to feel like a massive burden. So your brain created a simple formula. Asking for help equals disappointment. To protect yourself, you built a fortress. But we're human beings. We are social creatures. Building this fortress around yourself turns romantic relationships into a one-way street where you take care of them, but they can never, ever take care of you. And that leads straight to burnout, deep resentment, and honestly, profound loneliness. This hyperindependence basically creates a split identity. On one side, we have the false adult. This is the version of you that carries the armor out into the world. You're highly productive, extremely responsible, and you manage your life perfectly. But you're doing it entirely out of fear. And on the flip side, abandoned deep in the subconscious, is the frozen inner child. This part of you is stuck at the exact age you were forced to grow up. It's terrified to come out and completely unable to just, play and be innocent. Because that inner child is frozen, you end up becoming a security guard. Your brain never clocks out, even on vacation. You lose what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi calls flow, that beautiful ability to be so fully absorbed in an activity that you lose track of time and just feel pure joy. You can't reach flow because you fundamentally don't feel safe. So what happens? You become the therapist friend. Because your own joy is blocked, you connect with others through their pain. You become an absolute master of empathy. But it's a tragic paradox, really. You can spend 3 hours giving brilliant advice to a friend, but when you are hurting, you hide in the bathroom, turning the shower on full blast so nobody hears you cry. You're trying to save the whole world, just quietly hoping someone will finally save you back. So let's talk about fixing this. Reclaiming your inner child. Learning how to try less. How exactly do you heal a wound created by thousands of tiny moments where you just had to carry too much? Well, the solution isn't trying harder. It's learning how to try less. Let's walk through 3 practical steps to thaw out that frozen inner child. First, you have to grieve your past self. You need to let your inner child officially quit their job. You are allowed to mourn the messy, irresponsible childhood you never got to have. Second, you must practice receiving. I know this is incredibly hard, but next time someone offers help, force yourself to pause for just 3 seconds, swallow your pride, and say, yes, that would really help. And third, institute the 15-minute rule. Every single day, spend 15 minutes doing something completely pointless. Scribble on a piece of paper, stare at the ceiling. When the guilt shows up, just smile at it. You are actively training your nervous system that the world is not going to end if you stop controlling it. If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, please let it be this. You do not need to earn love by being useful. You are a human being, not a problem-solving machine. Just existing in this world, even when you are doing absolutely nothing and helping no one, has immense, unshakable value. That 10-year-old version of you did an absolutely incredible job holding everything together for decades, but they are exhausted. So I want to leave you with this final thought. You've been the parent to the whole world. Will you finally put down that heavy backpack, allow yourself to be a little weak, a little lazy, and just let yourself rest? Because true adulthood